Hello, thirsty spirits. Welcome back to another episode of Pulling Precepts. Do you ever treat any of God's laws like traffic laws? I always go 5 over the speed limit. What? The light wasn't changing fast enough. It's not like there were any cars coming in at midnight. Or maybe some of God's laws have become in our own lives like the proverbial California rolling stop. You've done it so many times now, to actually stop doesn't even occur to you. Well, in Nephi chapter 1, Jerusalem is only a few years away from coming onto a full-on collision. Not only was there a stop sign, but they had one of those cranky old men at the corner waving their cane around.
It's called a stop sign for a reason. Why don't you come back and find out what that finger feels like after I get done with it?
Before we go into the story, let's set up a little bit of background. Ready? Quick 20-second history lesson. The year is about 600 BC. 5 years after Daniel's friends come out of the fiery furnace. That's happening up here in Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar is the king, and Daniel's his counselor. Well, Nebuchadnezzar brings in this guy, Zedekiah, 20 years old, bright young mind. Is he a good king? Jeremiah doesn't really seem to think so. Daniel, Babylon, Jeremiah, Jerusalem. Who else is prophesying? Lehi. Welcome to the Book of Mormon.
You're about to pull a precept.
Meet Lehi. He's a dad. A good dad. Also a good guy. Listens to the prophets. Lots of prophets, apparently. Prophets talking about a lot of destruction. Lots of destruction. Lehi doesn't want his people to be destroyed, so he prays for him really hard. And you know what happened? This pillar of fire shoots down on this rock and right in front of him, and he's hearing things and he's seeing things and he's just overwhelmed by all this going on. He's like, I'm gonna take a nap. So he goes off to his house in Jerusalem. He lays down in his bed. He's so overwhelmed by all these things going on in his mind, but his physical body's exhausted. Falls asleep and he starts to dream. But before I get to the dream, there's this thought I had. Can you imagine a poor investigator? He's just got the Book of Mormon in his hands. The elders have said, you need to read and pray about this and find out whether it's not true. The poor guy cracks open the books, doesn't even get 6 verses in, and he reads this story. Is this what happens if you pray with your heart? Not me. I ain't gonna pray. Anyway, so back to the dream. Falls asleep. He has a dream where he sees God sitting in his throne. He's surrounded by angels and they're all singing. And he sees Jesus and the 12 apostles. They're all really bright and pure. The 12 apostles go down to the earth. And Christ comes to Lehi. And he presents him this book. He's like, read this. What does he say? I didn't need to read that. You can just take my eyeballs out now and just burn up with the rest of Jerusalem. They're getting what's coming for them. Not quite, but he does confirm that the city will be destroyed. And that the people either die by the sword, which happened, or be taken captive like Daniel and his friends. Not even 5 years earlier. I want to compare this talk of destruction with what happens next. And it came to pass that after my father had read and seen many great and marvelous things, he did exclaim many things unto the Lord, such as, Great and marvelous are thy works, O Lord, God Almighty. Thy throne is high in the heavens, thy power and thy goodness and thy mercy are over all the inhabitants of the earth. And because thou art merciful, thou wilt not suffer those who come to thee that they shall perish. And after this manner was the language of my father in praising his God, for his soul did rejoice, and his whole heart was filled, because of the things which he had seen, yea, which the Lord had shown unto him. What could Lehi have possibly seen to change from the scene of destruction to this glorious experience? He saw the merciful beacon of hope in Jesus Christ. There's our precept. God offers mercy to everyone before he executes justice. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Pulling Precepts. If there's others you've pulled from Nephi chapter 1, please feel free to share them in the comments. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. If you'd like to see things like this in the future, please hit the subscribe button. But above all, enjoy the Book of Mormon. It is true and filled with awesome life-guiding principles like this. See you all next time. Bye, thirsty spirits.